All right, so this is Travis Brown reporting for PickFactor.com, and I'm speaking with UFC fighter in the bantamweight division, Dustin Pague. Got him live on the line. Dustin, say hello.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, my dude. I'm so happy to be talking to you right now. I'm thankful that you were able to extend this time to us. I know we were supposed to hook this up beforehand, but I came down with a little cold after coming back from Invicta up in Kansas City. So I really appreciate you giving us your time right here today.
No problem, brother. The pleasure's all mine.
All right, awesome. Well, look, man, I'm one of the dudes where I don't, beat around the bush. I jump straight into it. And before I talk to you about the fight at UFC 161, my main thing that I would like to know right off the bat, man, is like I'm looking at you right now. You just lost your third fight in a row, which that used to never really be that big of an issue in the world of MMA and UFC and whatnot. But now with all the recent cuts that's been going on in the past few months, when people hear that the third fight is happening and that the person may lose, it could be the end of their UFC career. I mean, when you wake up today on Friday, July the 26th, what type of mind frame is Dustin Pague in right now?
Well, it really depresses me to think of it, so thanks for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
I'm just playing, man. I'm kind of like just tongue out to dry right now. I'm waiting to hear back from the UFC to see if I am cut. But then again, I'm thinking in my head that they're not going to cut me because I know after talking to the UFC guys behind the scenes and just hearing everything on social media and everyone talking about it, everyone, I think, can agree that I got robbed on that decision. So the only thing that is keeping me hopeful is the fact that they're not going to cut me when they think I should have won that fight, It would be pretty crappy of them to, just let me go after that when I feel that everyone feels the same way that, that should have been my hand being raised. So,
I don't
know. That's the thing I'm holding on to.
Okay, and but like in regards to like the overall mind frame of the day-to-day activities that's going on with you, are you still like like you said, you're kind of in a sense feeling like that phone call is still going to be coming, that hey, this is the next fight we got lined up for you, let's do it, this is the date and everything. So are you just on a day-to-day basis, I mean, you still doing your normal routine, just your workouts and yourself ready mentally every single day? I mean, it's a lifestyle with fighters, so that's why, when I'm asking about the overall mainframe of you right now, I mean, is it still in war mode in the head?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't care if I have the same mindset as 7 years ago when I was fighting amateur. I train hard every day, if my body's permitted me to, or allowing me to do that. Sometimes I have injuries and I got to take off, but, I train every day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, whether or not I have a fight coming up or not. That's just who I am. I love to train. I love everything about fighting. So whether or not the UFC cuts me today, tomorrow, or in a month, I'm going to have that same mindset and train as hard as I can, because it's something I love to do.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into UFC 161. I'm setting it up in Manitoba, Winnipeg. The crowd is there. It's Canada everywhere. Everybody is hyped. It's a great pay-per-view card. It's Evans versus Henderson. It's one of the most anticipated cards of the summer for UFC. We see the preview. We see the road to the UFC with Dustin Pague. We enter the ring. We get the back and forth. It's close. Everyone's talking about how close the fight is from the onset, about how the relentlessness, I guess is the best way that I can say it, that you're showing in the fight, and how the match was being portrayed throughout the whole course of the events of the evening. Joe Rogan himself at the end of the match said that he felt that you had the more control in the fight. The match is over. The split comes. The minute you hear the split, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that decision after the judges favor their way?
Oh, my heart just dropped. Like I was in shock. I mean, you guys saw the fight. So me and my corner, we were celebrating. Eves was in his stool with his head down. Like I think even Eves knew. Like it was. And then when we heard that, like we were just blown away. I was blown out of the water. I I don't know what to think at that time. It was almost like it was a dream or something.
Now, recently I read an interview with Yves, and he was talking about how after the fight, he was saying no matter what he threw your way, you just kept coming for him and coming for him. Did you feel like there was any true damage coming from Yves at all throughout the course of the fight for you? Did you feel like you were in any trouble whatsoever?
No, not at all. I mean, I remember him hitting me a couple times when I had him in my guard, but nothing damaging that would rock me or, like I felt super comfortable the entire time. I mean, I was really blown away by that decision.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, and I was explaining it to a bunch of the people that we were watching the fight with, and they all kind of agreed in regards to what we saw throughout the course of the fight was the fact that the control was evident from the beginning. Obviously, there was a couple times, I believe it was around the early part of the second round, that he was able to finally get on top of you, and he landed a couple elbows, but it didn't seem like it was anything too detrimental to the fight. It seemed like the control with your presses and you being in neutral position and the guards that you showed throughout the whole course of the fight seemed to show that you had more control in the fight. Did you feel like you were, in a sense, able to do whatever it was that you wanted to do in the fight, or was it something during the course of the fight that kind of threw you off your game a little bit?
No, I felt complete control. I hurt my hand a little bit before the fight in training. I didn't think it was a big deal, and then I really hurt it the first round. So that's why I really wanted to be more so on the ground because my right hand was bothering me, and I think you can kind of notice that when I was mounted on Yves. I would hesitate to throw my right hand, so I would just drop an elbow. But so that in itself kind of threw off my game plan. But as far as what Yves is throwing, the only thing I felt like I couldn't do is finish the submissions. But getting into them, I felt fine. But, he was slippery. He did a great job of fighting out of it. I mean, and the bottom line, it comes down to, finishing fights. I'm usually a finisher. And it's my fault that I didn't finish him and I left it into the judges' hands because Burt Watson, the Constantine, always tells you, do not let it go to the judges because they make you cry. They make you cry, and they definitely made me cry.
Yeah, and you know what, man, and that's one of the things that I'm going to lead up to a little bit later in this interview is because that's kind of, it's one of the things that once you talk to fighters over and over again, it becomes one of those things where it's kind of common knowledge not to leave it up to the judges. But back in regards to, like, the action throughout the course of the fight, you said prior to the fight, and I actually got the quote from MMA Junkie, that you thought that the fight was going to be, you were going to try to take the fight on the feet. You were going to try to stand up as much as you possibly can. But it seemed like right almost from the beginning of the fight, it was more like you wanted to maybe take the fight to the match. Was it something in particular that made you feel like, okay, even though you wanted to start off maybe trying to test it on your feet, did you see some type of advantage where maybe you could take a takedown and kind of get the match going that way early?
Not so much so myself, but if you watch it again, right in the very first punch I throw is an overhand right. That was the hand that I hurt. I thought I could. That was kind of like my tester. Like, hey, am I going to be able to use this bad boy? I threw it. It bothered me, so I think maybe that was a little discouraging because I didn't really want to stand. And then once we were on the ground and I felt the control I was able to have on Yves, I felt more comfortable there on the ground with him. Because Yves is he's a powerful striker and he has knockout ability. So if I felt more comfortable in a situation, obviously I'd want to stay in that position. So once I saw the ground game, I definitely felt, more comfortable there once we got down. So that's kind of why I was going for so many submissions.
Right, and what was the thing that made, like, after you got back, after watching the fight and being able to look it over again and putting your mind frame back together after the fight, like, why do you think you were unsuccessful with the first few submission attempts that you tried?
I saw a lot of holes in my game when I watched it, and it's things that I'd never do. I don't know, like, I must have a brain fart. I don't know. It was frustrating.